Mine. So Healthy Decisions for All is the title, and Jack Dowie is mentioned here. He introduced me to decision sciences back in 2000 when I met him in Aarhus. We had Ben Mahler, who came back to revisit his Health for All vision from '84, and he's now a professor of multi-criteria decision analysis at Odense University Hospital and the research unit where I am. So I am now a decision doctor. I did my Master of Public Health in Sexual Health in August, so I'm a health e-visitor. And I'm very much a tiger from the Tiger Initiative from 2006 on informatics, started in the US. And the what's next is how we can take the scenes of the perspectives further on into practice. 4 years ago, we presented it in the Science in the City festivals, opening up direct to people, what is a decision, different decisions, try to make it for all ages. I heard about in Stockholm the MyData Global initiative just by chance. And in Denmark we have this unified health portal, so we can go as citizens or health professionals. All this is leading back to where we can empower individuals and inform choices. It's spot on what decision sciences can add. In Aarhus there also is this decoration. And in the abstract you will find that it is two broad initiatives or techniques. Either it's prescriptive or it's descriptive. And it's just written a paper about the medical futurists using themselves as test beds. And this is just published right now. So I come also from the fairy tale city of Hans Christian Andersen. So what matters here is in the middle. Where are we coming from, where are we going? How can we involve people? What's the design? How can we learn from feedback to see what we're doing is benefiting people? And 2 weeks ago, the Too Much Medicine Conference was here in Helsinki. And you can see the opportunity is nowhere or now here, depending on the perceptions. And these two links here by James McCormack and McWillett is how to use art to get the awareness of people in a more fun way, to engage people, so it's for all ages. Because I think there's too much medicine and too little health. And as Ben Mahler said, health is not bought by a chemist's pills, nor saved by the surgeon's knife. Health is not merely the absence of ills, but the fight for the fullness of life. And that's different for different people. So it's a multi-criterial definition back then. And now that's been followed up with Sustainable Development Goals. And if we should transform a WHO, have political commitment and partnerships, which is the prescription, I think we need something like MyData organization and computers. How can we communicate beyond the Nordics as well? Because as there are too much medicine, not too much health here, it's too much talk about data, but not how it's applied, how it's making sense. We need to have patterns to recognize, to see how are they going to benefit us, so we can become wise. Because what matters is that life is understood backwards, it must be lived forwards. And as legal drivers are one thing for the informed consent, we also have the cost drivers. And right now in the healthcare we have secondary screening, not so much the social determinants of primary screening. And you see here the numbers from a Danish health economist before 2000, outlining these numbers. So in the sessions here, that is exactly my point here, to go across the health of nations. It's also a political issue. Health technology assessment analysis, we did this 8 years ago, how to make these smartphones accessible and translate a health technology assessment also so you can show it's preference sensitive from which sector you are coming from. So it's empowerment, it's in the middle, it's the future, it's all vision papers, all these things I've been working on. And I've just been funded by this National Board of Health to develop decision support tools, and that was to get the software I used as my PhD at Sydney University. It's now in the region of southern Denmark. So it's to have a very simple, interactive one screen to make it recognizable, to have a shared language for everyone, and to use the same for the quality of decisions, because if you're supporting a decision, what's the outcome? A better quality decision defined by you. So that's part of also what I did as my PhD. And just to remind everyone that empowerment was defined only back in '98 for empowerment, for health as to gain control over decisions. And the Aarhus Convention in 2001 made it clear that actually public participation in decision making is a human right. And UNES has translated this into a lot of languages. I think it's very important that this is remembered here. And the decision science is how to engage and see what is a decision. So we have a sandwich. It needs two parts, bread and filling. Without one of them, we don't have a sandwich. And just like a decision, we need estimates on one side, informatics, but we certainly also need values, preferences on the other side. And that's where ethics is for me, how we apply what we know, give it to the people so they can make the best decision at the point of time. So this is a BLT sandwich here building up. And there is an initiative actually now on the 6th of June to ask what matters to you, spreading, but it's not clear what are these data used for. And if we are not making it accessible to people to see they can be helpful, then so what? And it should be in different languages. So that's the global scene, saying all these things. The local background in Odense University Hospital here has in the English side advised consent choice in English speaking. And there is an article telling about my PhD and that we should use decision literacy, interactive educational tools, which we have at the Children's Hospital, and use a Lego approach, make it simple, build it from there. That's the PhD trying to say that the shared decision-making community, the evidence-based medicine community, can meet with this simple prescriptive framework. That's what the Tiger Initiative has done. And my first paper was actually how to get the nursing informatics community and the nursing ethics community combined. And they had, just like the MyData.org, an initiative as before they became a legal entity and an NGO, a great volunteer development of the Tiger virtual learning environment back in 2006. But it's different for each country. So to make it meaningful, how can we use it? So I did one on ethics at the time as well. It's a video and all these interactive tools you can find on the website as well. So we should start at an early age. We have a chance to do that. It's a healthy decision literacy. We should ask for concordance. There's ABC and the heart, which is what matters here. We have a patron coming from Australia and Denmark, married to the Crown Prince. And we have this from the 1st of April 2014, everything is digitalized in Denmark. From the 12th of September, we have access to all our tests on the National eHealth portal. But there is, of course, a healthy decision literacy initiative missing here, because if you don't know what you're doing, the citizens are the biggest health hazards. Again, that's what we need to address. So there are tools out there to help us about that. Basically, it comes down to that. what do we want, don't we know, where do we actually go? And do we ask Dr. Google, or can we use the national decision aids out there? So we need this technique to combine the preference over the multiple criteria, important to us, and see if we can enhance this way we're communicating with people. Because right now, the current medical practice is that it's the shared decision making. So it's the patient. I would like to see in the future that it's health practice for people. And this is Apple mediation. And that's more than 10 years ago that Eisenbach suggested that. And that's what the paper is about. It should be a truly informed consent. You have a chance to be empowered with an opinion from the aide before you go to your healthcare provider. So this is what we have now in Denmark. We have built it in the app now. We have this for bone health. I use this as an example. So we have got the safeguarding of the software on the region. We have a system of e-probers to train probabilities of what's false and right. It's a way to see how well you know things yourself. We have all the hospitals in the region integrated to have access to the same app. There is one on bones for in English and Danish we can use. So everyone can actually log on here as an internet platform. Then they can log on with a two-tier Danish safe system if they want to be part of the clinical application, so it's embedded in a clinical hospital. And then we have like a mini MOOC course here. And the software on AL is a survey program and a decision framework you have seen here. Then as part of this research, I was working with a community council in Denmark to see if I could find a comparative website people would know about, try to see is this a common shared language. So it's not something new. So that was serving as a warm-up. And like you have consumer reports in the US, you have choice in Australia, WITS in the UK. It's a lot of people who use this. And it's in the interface of what's health and what you eat and all the other sectors of what you put on your skin, which is actually contributing to health. So this is Apple mediation, direct to the people. In Denmark, we have also a digital self-defense app actually provided. So it's very much overlapping here. So if you buy a coffee machine, they have 18 options, for instance, 9 criteria. They score them, they rate them with icons, and it comes up with best in test given a set of weights. But what you should do to empower this is Siemens now is the best one, but if you then actually make it interactive, so you can close here, because it's just a screen. So if you want not 5% weights to energy resource, okay, so it's a different one. Every criterion, there is a winner on each. So a lot of things are preference sensitive. So it's just a warm-up so people can see that everything you are doing, you can translate. You can translate this and see that your preferences actually matter. So when we have that, we are telling them, okay, now we are building your bone health tool. You don't want to have a fracture in the next 10 years, you don't want side effects of what you are doing, and you don't want maybe the treatment burden. Then we're building it together when they come. And we're using prediction tools, which is out there anywhere, on an app in different languages. And then we are actually, in the research, finding from these medical options in lifestyle, etc., that it's very rare that you only look at one of those criteria. What matters to you is a little bit of everything. But not having a fracture is less than 0.5%. And all the guidelines we have guiding us in healthcare is looking at one criterion. So the empowerment here is to look at multi-criterion because it's your preferences as to the treatment burden. And this can be used, of course, in prevention, screening, testing, treatment, rehab, and the end of life. And you are adding, modifying it, saving it in the log so you can see, you can build a cohort over time, and you can ask what is the quality of your decisions. I'm working with the patient advocates, this is from Australia, from Denmark, across, I call it international health literacy, because the patients have different means to do across the countries. We are communicating these stories, so there are storylines from The Little Mermaid, from Hamlet, from The Doctor's Dilemma, and everyone is for you to engage to see what would you have done in that situation. Lots of papers have been produced, mini MOOCs on how to introduce it, and I'm trying to make it in Danish and English, or the other way around, because I did my PhD in Australia working with people outside. The Tiger, I mentioned, have an international survey of core competences, and this top rated had ethics and IT, but not on decision support. So I'm a Danish Tiger trying to say that decision support on IT could be one thing we could do. So, does it make data actionable, and can it enhance personalized health maintenance? Yeah, there are different ways to construct it. When you are building it, this is a QR for that. So we have network meta-analysis to have the robust evidence on some of the criteria. We have evidence-based, expertise-based for side effects. We need to tap into the wisdom of the crowds. And the patient, the decision maker, is of course the expert on the treatment burden. Then it can be communicated. There is a story here on donation. Would you donate if you are if you're told that your brother has leukemia and you need to give stem cells, a blood cell? So we are also discussing the ethics on a family-focused way, making storylines about that. So is it the way forward? In Australia, the executive dean at the University of Wollongong, who used to be my at the Sydney University, believes in MCDA, uses it across the campus, and there are lots and lots of decision aids out there now. You can try end-of-life stories. In Zagreb, we are communicating that as well in the informatics community. Is it meaningful for people? We always ask, please share your thoughts about this. This is end-of-life decision. And just here, I learned the Hypponen's law about a fridge. In the mini MOOC example you will find on the Cafe Analysa site, it's actually about buying a fridge. There is a conference in Copenhagen in September about this ethics again. And just to finish up, the Preventing Overdiagnosis Conference in Copenhagen not long ago made this declaration now that we should have a new Elmer ATA. Again, I think it's very much in the spirit of what MyData org is doing here. So Dr. Tedros is needing the partnerships, I think. Not patients, but individuals, persons, humans and citizens. And that's Anna and Lisa, you could say. Because even if you are identical monozygotic twins, your preferences matter here. You can see for colors. And MOOCs we heard about and is ongoing here is also part of the future. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.